to sit up straight with your arms folded.
Jess.
Good morning.
Good morning. Darlene, this is Ellie. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Ellie. It's Susie.
Oh, hi, Susie.
How are you?
I'm good. I just wanted to make sure that I had the audio done right.
Look at the top. It says talking, and it shows me, and then you say something.
Oh, isn't it smart? Okay.
Isn't it? And if we're talking at the same time, it shows both our names.
Really? Fancy. What if Frank talks? Say something, Frank.
I just did.
Oh.
Now it's not showing you. How weird.
I don't exist.
There you go. Now it is.
Okay. There it is. So what is everybody else doing? Scurrying around trying to figure out how to load it up?
Well, Lenora is with Melissa, and Tiffany is, I don't know what she's doing. Tiffany, did you call in yet? Okay, she hasn't called in yet.
All right. Well, tell them to get this done. It's my day off. I want to go do something.
Okay, I'm on the meeting, so it's all right. We haven't started yet.
No, yeah, not tonight. These are just some handouts. They won't be
Right.
prevalent until later, but.
Good, thank you. Any information is good information. Oh, I already looked at these yesterday. The keyboard shortcuts, I almost printed them myself. It's a good thing I didn't. We would have wasted paper.
Why? Is there a way to look at it easier?
Keyboard shortcuts, but you can pull them up at any time, so you don't really need the paper, which is why I didn't print it. But it's kind of nice to look at it and see that these things are available.
Are they easier than clicking?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, because you can, you can do a new patient registration just by typing NP. I mean, it's faster than clicking around.
Where'd you find those?
They are, I don't remember.
Okay.
I'm not actually.
I'm sure they'll tell us.
I'm not actually in the software, so I think that the meeting they're going to display the software.
Okay. Yeah, probably.
But
okay.
I use Zoom, but I've just never used it like this. I use Zoom a lot.
I don't know. Okay, well.
I'm going to go in and look because I can probably just tell you because I looked at it a couple times yesterday.
I kind of tried to cruise around on it, but.
Well, you know me, I'm curious clicker.
Yeah. Well, when I went,
added testy test too.
It's like when I went to scheduling and I went to calendar, there are no schedules to display. So I was like, well, how can I practice booking an appointment?
Okay, so go down to resources on the left and click
Oh,
on
so
those.
okay, I see.
To the left of the calendar.
Oh, I see it now.
There
Okay.
you go. Click
Oh.
on those, and it'll pull up all the calendars. You see, there's actually some
Yeah.
fake names in there now, and I put test 2.
I saw that. I thought that was pretty cute. Okay. What was I just going to ask? Is there a way to default it so that it always brings up Mohanty's?
So yeah, there's you can arrange it, but I don't know how to do that.
Okay.
But I know you can.
Okay.
And if you deselect, it'll show up. Like I can unselect under resources the ASCAN, the ASC, and
Yeah.
the VF, and just leaves Mohanty up there.
Yeah.
And then you can save it and name it. No, Anja's not on there yet. Oh. I don't think so. Anja, you're not here, are you? No, she'll probably be calling in because it's on Zoom.
I know, but on the email, she was going to be here.
Oh.
So she's not going to be here.
That I don't know. Maybe she is. Then I don't know. But it's like 2 minutes till 9 now. Ellie, I'm on the meeting.
Oh, you're on Ellie.
Okay.
No, I'm on the meeting, so you need to call in because it's 2 minutes till. It'll take you a couple minutes to download that Zoom thing. Oh, look at that.
What?
Pretty cool. I'm just snooping around. I told you I'm a happy clicker.
What'd you find?
I am looking at editing appointment, and then underneath I saw print ticket, and it just prints up the super bill. So easy. It's so nice and clean.
Yay.
I like it.
Yay.
Yeah, I saw a couple things you're going to like in there. I don't remember. I played with it for maybe about 20 minutes yesterday.
Yeah.
On and off. Just trying to see like how it's going to work. But the interface is kind of nice.
Yeah. Well, when we
It's
were
just
looking
gonna
at
take
it
a while.
originally, it was this one and then another company's. And Andrea liked this one better because it would make her life a lot easier.
Well,
Hello.
I'm all for making lives easier. Hello.
Hello, I'm here now. Lenora.
Hi, Lenora. I can hear her out of both of my ears.
Is she sitting next to you now?
And Tiffany's in. And Sam's in. Can you guys hear us?
Hello.
I don't
Hello.
Tiffany is
Hello.
in yet.
Hi, this is Darlene.
Hello.
Hi,
Hi,
Darlene.
How is everybody?
Good.
Apprehensive? No. Just kidding.
Is this Melissa?
No, this is Susie.
Susie, okay.
I'm
you'll-
kidding.
you'll
I
love
looked at
it.
it.
You'll
I'm
love
sure
it.
I will. I've already looked at it.
So is everybody there that needs to be there? Are we waiting on anyone?
I
Can you
don't
hear
know how
me?
many people were invited. Yes, we can hear you. Whoever that was.
Okay. It's
Who is
me,
that?
Tiffany.
Hi, Tiffany. I hear you out of both my ears.
Is Colin on? Colin?
No.
Does anyone know where Colin
No,
is?
then. Okay, mine says the download should start automatically in a few seconds.
Okay.
And it's been a few seconds, so
Should I text Colin and tell him to get on?
I'm doing it right now.
Okay.
If it's not starting, I can, are you logged into OpenPM already?
I don't know.
So have you
What-
logged into the site OPS 18 I could get you into the meeting through the software if you're already logged into the Open Practice software.
Well, I'm on launch meeting.
Uh-huh. Does it have like a button that says run or anything like that?
I'm going to walk over and look. I'll be right back.
Nope. No run.
Okay. So those of you who have gotten onto the Zoom meeting, are you seeing my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I am anyway. It even says, you are viewing Darlene Rushing's screen.
Oh, good.
So I guess we're ready.
No question there.
Hmm? Maybe we should have told everybody 8:45.
I'm on.
Colin, nice of you to join us. Oh, my cat is going to join us.
All right. I have dogs, and they may, if somebody knocks on the door, they'll all join us too.
Okay, I'm on now.
Okay, so everybody can see the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, we're ready to get started then. Well, what you're looking at here is the home dashboard. Now, yours won't have as many buttons as mine because mine's accessing everything that's possible to access, but you're just basically going to be seeing the things that you need to do your work, your daily work, like patient dashboards and scheduling. But you'll have multiple ways to navigate through the software. Down this left side panel, the dashboards that you will have access to will appear. And I believe, if I'm thinking right, yours will be home,
I'm
patient,
back.
scheduling. Oh, okay. Hi. I was
Hi.
just going over the home dashboard. So some of these things you won't have on yours because you won't be needing to run statements and that sort of thing. But these go to each dashboard. So patient would go to the patient lookup screen. Scheduling will take you to your scheduling dashboard where you would find your calendar. From the home screen, a couple things I want to go over. Oh, before I leave that, you've also got these icons up here, the pictures. So the one with the 12 on it is the calendar. If you click on that, it goes to the calendar. The little house is home. And the little man is the patient lookup screen. So that's what these little pictures up here for. The first thing that you're going to be doing every day is opening a reference batch. The reference batches are what holds the patient copay receipts so that at the end of the day, the person that has to balance out all the receipts that were taken can go to the reference batch, print the reports, close the batch, and then you're ready for the next day. So I'm going to go ahead and open a reference batch for this demo so that you can see what that is like. It's really simple. You click on reference batch, click the add button. Whatever everyone decides is going to be the name for your reference batches, usually the one I see most is just front desk. You'll notice that when I typed that, it was lowercase, but once I tabbed, it goes to uppercase. So you don't have to worry about case sensitivity in most of the fields.
Sorry to interrupt, but
okay.
I'm not seeing, I'm just seeing the home screen, but I'm not seeing you type anything or.
Have you joined the meeting and you're still just seeing the home screen?
Well, I joined the meeting. Oh, maybe I'm doing something. Oh, shoot.
I'll go look at his computer, Darlene.
Okay. I'll pause a minute.
I'll pause a minute. Okay. All right. Let me just see here.
They're not.
You have to click on the link from the email.
Okay. And I can get him.
You joined?
Well, I did.
And if he has the little monitor icon at the top of the Open
I went to the wrong link.
Oh my God.
Such a bonehead.
So we have to run, yeah.
Sorry.
Are you there now?
No, well, you gotta
almost.
load
Okay. And I could have just gotten in there from OpenPM's dashboard if if you want to do it that way.
All right. I'm in. Thank you.
Okay, fine. All right. So what I did, there's a button here that says reference batches. There's a link, hyperlink up at the top that says reference batches. So I'm going to go to the hyperlink and open a batch. So you'll click on that each morning. This is anyone that takes co-payments. If you don't have to worry about taking co-payments, you won't need a reference batch. I'm going to put the description here as front desk. Let's see if I can spell. And then anything that is a white field is not mandatory. So basically, you'll put in your description tab, and then you come to the batch date. Our system is programmed so that you can do a T and tab, and it puts in today's date. In date fields, you can also put things like T-1, and it'll put in yesterday's date. So that saves you a lot of typing. So basically, you're going to put just your name of your batch, T, and then save. So you can see here that batch number 2 is opened. I'm attached because the little chain is closed. And then there's the date it was opened, my username, and the date and time. Once that's done, you close.
I'm sorry. So is this going to tell them who they need to collect copays from through the day? I'm sorry, I'm misunderstanding.
No. The reference batch, if you have to create receipts, anything that is going to be a financial number, payments and charges, has to be contained in a reference batch because that becomes the post date. So those receipts are going to have that were posted from this would have this reference batch date. It also allows you to just be like, if you have to balance out what you took, then you have a batch where you can come in at the end of the day and run a report. And I'll go over that at the end of training, but you'll have this little report button so that you can print a report of this is what I took. I'm only responsible for what I took, and here it is.
And so at the beginning of every morning, they run this reference batch, and then throughout the day.
Open it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they'll open it.
And then it sort of takes the place of a day sheet.
Okay.
Right. It acts as a day sheet.
Okay.
So you open it, you don't have to think about it for the rest of the day. And then the last thing you do before you leave and log out is close it.
So Tiffany, Lenora, you got that?
Tiffany, can you hear us? She's on the speaker. She's not on the phone, so she heard.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. Okay.
All right. So that's first thing of the day, last thing of the day. So I just wanted to go over that. A couple of little tips for you just that'll help you throughout the day to love this software is you can clone another tab. So you can see here I'm on the home page. I'm going to hold down my control key and click on the calendar. And you see at the top, I now have 2 tabs open. So I've got the calendar, but I have this tab as well. So if you're on the calendar working on registering a patient and someone walks up and says, could you tell me what my balance is? You can click here, look up the patient, go to their dashboard, tell them what they need to know, and then when you're through with that patient, you come here and you're still right where you were. You don't have to close everything to take care of someone on the phone.
Can you show me how to do that one more time, please?
Sure. So I'm holding down my control key on the keyboard and then just clicking of where I want to go. So I want to go to the calendar on a different tab.
Got it.
So we just call it control click functionality is what it is. So anytime you hold on to the control key, it's not going to change the screen you're on. It's going to open another screen.
Susie, that's also on the handout I gave you on the keyboard shortcut.
Cool. Yeah, I'm just taking short notes for myself.
Right.
Cool.
The keyboard shortcuts, I'm sure you guys have those. They're really useful, especially if you don't like to reach for your mouse constantly.
Yeah, I saw those yesterday.
So those are really nice. So practice with some of those. Okay. So any questions on home dashboard or navigation? We're opening reference batches. That's what we've covered so far. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the calendar. And each person will be able to set up their own default for the calendar. So
Can I
if
ask
you
one
only
question? I'm sorry. I have
Sure.
one question before you move on. So
Okay.
the reference batch that we see, that URL over here on the right, where it says to front desk, so that one is currently open. Is that what that's indicating?
This means I'm attached to it. So I could, if you come in here, I could open this one, and it's still going to show me if there are two front desks because that's the batch I am in.
Okay.
So, I mean, and whatever you guys decide you want to name them, if you want to do front desk and initials or whatever, but that shows you the batch you are attached to.
And,
Okay.
and Darlene, I think, this is Melissa, I think it was my understanding that these reference batches is really just someone from the front desk will have to worry about
Correct.
it,
Yes,
right?
only someone that takes co-payments. If you're going to be creating a receipt to give to the patient, you'll need a reference batch. If all you do is schedule and answer phone calls to like tell patients information, you wouldn't necessarily have to have a reference batch because you would not be creating any receipts.
Right.
So that's the only requirement.
Batch is created for the day, that's it, and then you can create receipts all day based on that batch, correct?
Yes, correct. You're attached to it, so all day long, all the receipts that you create are going to go into that batch. And then at the end of the day, you close it.
So the front office person opens the batch, and then anybody else can create a receipt based on that batch, and then it gets closed
Well,
down.
they would have to be attached to it. So that's an internal decision. If you guys wanted to have one batch and everybody just attaches to it, you can have multiple people attached to that same batch. So the person that opens it, it would look like this automatically. On everyone else's screen, it's going to look like this.
Ah.
You'll see that it's open, but you're not attached. And if I close this now, you can see there's no attached reference batch listed up there. So if that's the decision that one person is going to be responsible for opening a reference batch, and then everybody else will attach to it, that's all they would have to do is come in and click the chain. It becomes attached. You close this, and then you're in that same reference batch. So that's an internal thing. If everybody wants to have one front desk batch and then you all use it all day and then you close it, that's fine as well. It's just whatever the policy is for your office.
Thank you for clarifying that.
And the system is programmed to stop you. So if I was not attached to that batch and I tried to create a receipt, I'm going to get a warning popped up on my screen that says you are not attached to a reference batch. So you have to then attach and then finish creating the receipt.
Very good.
Okay. Any other questions before we move to the calendar? Okay. So here is the calendar. I'm going to deselect everything real quick here. So you can see here you have resources, which that's columns that you can schedule for. And right now you have for your A scans, your visual fields, Dr. Mahanti and the surgery center are your resources. And then facilities. So each of these resources could schedule for any facility that they are attached to. When you check mark your resources, you can select all, and it's just going to put them in alphabetical order. But if you only need to schedule for Dr. Mahanti and visual fields and A scans, then you select them in the order you want them to appear. So I'm saying I want to see Dr. Mahanti, and then following that, I want visual fields and then A scans. And I want to see this for Flagstaff. So now that's the order that I'm wanting to see my columns in. Once you've done that here on this first column, and this is something you'll do when you first go in and start using it. This settings wheel tab, you can come in and design your dashboard to look like you want it to look. So, and let me go back and I'm going to put another couple of facilities on here just so I can demonstrate something.
Well, we only built it in Cottonwood.
Oh, okay.
CPW, yeah.
Okay,
The others
I'll just do
don't
that.
schedule.
All right. So the settings wheel allows you to change the look of your screen. Condensed is going to shrink down so that you see more of the day. But if you're old like me and you need reading glasses, you might not want it to condense. So that's the decision you can make for each individual user. 5-minute ticks isn't a huge change. You can see here between 7:15 and 8, you've got the little tiny lines. That just removes them and puts them back in. So that's not a huge change. Formatted only, you'll want to keep checked, because if you don't have that, it's going to show you places that you can't even schedule. So there's no format for Cottonwood that day, so you don't need it. So make sure you have formatted days only checked. Let me go to a week view, and I'll see if I can find one that would be a good example.
Tell me, say again, what's the difference between a formatted and unformatted day?
So an unformatted day, there's no slots, and I'm going to get to slots here in a moment. So you see here, this is formatted for post-op slots and then appointment slots. If you hover over them, it shows you what types of appointments these slots were designed for. So for instance, on Thursdays in Flagstaff from 8 to 9:30, we have post-op slots, and that's designed for post-op appointments. If I come down here from 9:30 on, it's appointment slots, and for those we have multiple: dry eye, established visits, new patient visits, and post-ops if you need them for that as well. So this is just a layout of what appointments are supposed to be scheduled during the individual times.
That's handy.
So if I unchecked and saw all days, it's going to show me days where, like on a week view, where he's not even in those places, but you've got the columns and you don't really need them. So that formatted days only keeps it cleaner. It doesn't give you things that you don't need to book. I'm going to take this out just for this. Always show time. We'll put the time in every column. So you see how we've got the time right next to every column, and if you have it out, then it's going to show you the time only once for each day. Days in a week, you can say how many days you want to see within a week. This resource over facility, facility over resource, whichever you prefer. If I say facility over resource, it's going to show me Flagstaff up here and then each of the places, or each of the resources. So I've got Flagstaff and then Mahanti Visual Fields A-Scan. If I change it, you've got Mahanti, Flagstaff, and CTW Visual Fields, Flagstaff, A-Scan, Flagstaff. So whichever view you prefer. Font size medium, if I go to font size small, you can see a little bit more information within the block, and then smallest, you have even more. So now I can see that this is a post-op appointment. But if you want it large, where you just see the name, you can change that as well. And then this is something that I always suggest. You don't have to do it, but you can see that the background is bright white. That can get kind of glaring by the end of the day. So you can click on that little block and choose another color. You can make it slightly gray. You can find like a tan kind of color, and then close that, and your background changes.
Pretty.
One quick thing. So if you're changing the layout, like font size, etc., is that applicable to your specific login, or
Yes.
is that on? Okay. So
Yes.
wherever you move to, when you're logged in, it'll show up exactly like that.
Right. As long as you are logged in, your calendar is going to look like this. Now,
Okay.
once you have decided, okay, I like this is what I want my default to be, you can see up here in the display profile, I'm going to save this as my default. You can give it a name. So where this comes in handy is if you need to see the calendar differently on Monday than you do on Wednesday, you can create a default and call it Monday. Whoops. Well, it doesn't matter because it's going to, and then I'll save that. And then I want to make a change. Maybe on Tuesday, I want to see gray. That's a crazy change, but I'll do that. But anything you change, then I can save as new and name this one Tuesday. So for instance, if there was different facilities you needed to see on different days, you could do that. So now I've got my Tuesday, and I've got here I can select Monday. So there's Monday, here's Tuesday. Whichever one you select to be your default, if you use this refresh, it's going to take you back to that as your default.
What about the colored, like the column that says post-op, that's like a turquoise, and
Right.
then there's yellow for appointment. Now, does that stay the same for everybody?
Yeah. That is part of the schedule design. So that's going to stay the same for everybody. Now you'll notice that you'll have some days, and let me see if I can locate one quickly here. There's some days where it's blocked. And can you think, what is one that's blocked, Melissa? Can you?
Well, I was about to say we're still working on the very complex template of your schedule because it's like putting together a Rubik's Cube. So this isn't complete yet.
Okay, so here's what block looks like. So if you see the black side, that's telling you this is a block time, so nothing can be scheduled in those slots.
So you can't unclick that, right?
No.
Okay.
The block, this is permanent. So this is the design of how your schedule is created. That's your pattern, so to speak.
Okay.
Okay.
This is so that your technicians will actually get a lunch from now on.
Right.
Yeah. So we tried to block out lunches for everyone starting out. And Darlene, I can't remember. Can you overbook in that block time, or is that
you can you can book someone, but you're going to get a lot of warnings. So see, it automatically comes up that this is a block. But say the doctor says, I've absolutely got to see this patient and during this time. I can go ahead and come in here and override this and choose an appointment type. But see this red thing that pops up? Block time does not allow appointments with this type. But so I'm going to save it, and it's going to again tell me block time does not allow appointments with this type. So sometimes in the medical office, we know that emergencies happen and you've got to schedule someone where you normally don't. So you can see here now I've got this, and I've got it really condensed. So let's see. Or oh no, that's just a super short appointment. That's why it is. So it let me put that patient there, but you get warnings telling you this isn't supposed to happen.
Darlene, I just have a quick question, and I may be getting ahead of things, but when people are booking, can you see who booked an appointment? Because like right now we have them put their initials so that we know, if we have a question about appointment.
Yes. When I click on the appointment, it shows me the last modified by, and that's my support ID. Okay. You also have a change log. So if the appointments, and you can see here I was playing around with this one. I entered it at 8:42. I moved it to the I can't put a cancellation note at 8:43, and then I rescheduled it at 8:43. So it tells you everything that's happened to this appointment.
And does it all going to be assigned numbers? Or is it going to say like our name, where where it has?
Yes, your users. It would say like if it's David Smith, it's going to say like David S. or D. Smith. I'm not sure what the pattern of your username is, but it would have your username right there and the date and time that each thing happened.
Everyone's username is your first name and last initial.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so you can see the last modification, date and time, but if you want to see everything, you click on change log. So that is there. Okay, so everyone, that first thing you're going to want to do is create your defaults. This appointment area, this is what shows up by default on the screen. So right now we've got the name and the date of birth, the type of appointment, and the status. Since these are short appointments, you can't see the type of appointment and status, but if this was a 30-minute appointment or an hour appointment, you would be able to see a little bit more on the screen. In fact, let me stretch this one out. Edit appointment. Make it 20 minutes. Okay. So see, you can see that information on the screen by default. So whatever you choose here, if you don't care to see the patient's date of birth, but you want to see the reason they're coming in, then you could make that change and then save that as your default. So this appointment area is just what shows up by default on the screen. However, everything that's in there will show up if you hover over it. And then statuses that you want to see, if you want to, you normally don't want to see people that canceled or rescheduled showing up to muddy up your calendar, so those are not checked, but no-shows will show up. So if I mark someone as a no-show, they're going to stay on my calendar. So those are all the things you'll want to set up and then save your default. Any questions on your settings?
So it shows, I have a question. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So it shows, you know, like James Dean, and then at 8 o'clock, and then at 8:15 it shows Marilyn Monroe. Is that space in the middle, does that mean that that's like room 1 and room 2? Or Mahan? No,
what this is showing is just this appointment is going past the 15-minute time. Let me change that to 15. Edit appointment.
Lenora,
We'll make it 15 minutes.
Yeah.
we don't, on this system, we don't have separate books for him. So like we don't have an RM column and then an overbook column. It's just one column. So when you guys are putting 2 8 o'clocks, they're going to be side by side, I believe.
Yeah, I can book another one here and show you what it looks like.
So we did create an overbook column.
Oh, did you? Oh, I'm sorry, Melissa. I didn't realize you had.
That's okay. It's probably, she just probably didn't choose it as a view.
Okay. So
Darlene, could you go and choose
the resource?
The resource, and scroll down. There should be a flag, OB, FLG OB, I think. So they wanted to create, it was right underneath. Yep.
Right here. Oh,
yep.
My mouse went crazy for a second there.
So in talking to the staff, they really wanted that overbook column. I mean, and if they don't, we can always take it away, but I went ahead and put it in there. So we probably need.
So if this one would be going there, that's what it's going to look like instead.
So you just dragged and dropped that.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Okay, great. Okay, so then I guess, yeah, perfect. Thank you, Melissa.
So when you set up your default, you'll want to make sure that you select the facilities in the right order so that they show up, next to each other if that's how you need it.
Right. Thank you. Okay.
And you can see that this one is not formatted yet.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have anything. Now, one little thing that, it's not huge, but this little red arrow right here, that's what time it is right now. The red arrow kind of just moves down to show you what time it is. Okay. Any other questions on setting up your defaults?
No.
I'm going to save this again so I keep that flag stuff on there. Overbook. Okay. All right, so just to go over what these other tabs, so that you're going to set up your settings. This first tab is where you'll select the order of your columns, and then you'll go here and do your settings and save. That's going to be the first thing you'll do when you start practicing. Now, this second tab here is basically just a reporting tab, but it also gives you a check-in list. So I'm going to quickly just mark a couple of these people as checked in, so that you can see what that does while we're looking at it. All right, so if I come here, it shows me who is checked in and what time they checked in. Once they leave, let me check them out. They go off the list. So that's just a nice little quick view of who's still here. It's almost time for lunch. So. And then if you wanted to print. Can you show them what a
no-show looks like?
Yes. And do we have the red border?
I thought we did, but
We must not have marked it.
normally it has a red border.
Yeah, let me look and see if it's there. Let's see here. Nope, we don't have it on there. That's why it's not showing up. Border color. Okay, now it will be. So that way you can quickly see your no-shows if there's something you need to do with them at the end of the day.
But the names don't disappear, right?
No,
Stay
it
up
just
on the
marks
box.
it, right. It stays in there. It just puts a red border around because it's a no-show. And if the box was longer, like if I had marked this one, you would be able to see the words no-show.
Okay.
But I'm going to take these back to scheduled status because I want to go over a few other things on the actual appointments. And scheduled. All right, so I'm just going to go over the rest of the dashboard, and then we'll start working on how you actually use the appointment fields. So this would be to print the day's schedule, and it's set up right now to print for these 3 resources, and it's going to automate to pull in today. If I wanted to include any patient balances or anything, I could select that, and then if I click Run, it's going to print a PDF of today's schedule. So I don't know if you guys need a printed schedule for any reason for somebody to mark off what or to see who's coming, and but that's how you would do that. And you can see there it created a column for the patient balances. So that way if they owe something, you could ask them as they're checking in to pay their balance. And when you create your schedule, you are able to, if there's things you want to always be there, like if you always want to see the patient balance, you mark the things you want. Maybe you want their referring provider or whatever. Up here you can save, pardon me?
Patient ID would be very useful.
So anything you want to see on your daily schedule, you can see here you've selected these resources. If you need others, you could create that. You click this Save button, and then you could name this, this is your default or daily schedule. And I'm going to save that. Then if I come in here to print my schedule, all I need to do is click there, and it adds all of those settings. And then I run, and it's going to give me the report with those additional settings. So everybody can create their own. If you need to print a schedule, you can create it to be what you want it to be. Now, is there a plan to have super bills in here at all, or to print super bills, or are you guys going to just use?
I don't know that we've had that discussion, but honestly, I think
Okay.
it would be handy in the beginning because we're accustomed to that, and I'd like to eventually phase them out. But since we're
I
used
thought
to
I
it,
saw them in there yesterday already.
yeah.
Well, let me see. There may be a, no, there's nothing in, no charge ticket.
that's not
So
what
if you guys have a PDF of a super bill that you currently use and you want to send it to me, they will program it so that it prints with the patient's name and date of birth and whatever you have fields for on it. And what the person at the front desk would do is just come in, like I'm on Thursday, I want to print the tickets for today, and it would just generate all of the tickets, and then you would just print them all at once.
Okay.
So if you want to send me your super bill, I can absolutely have that uploaded for you.
Okay.
I think I've already actually sent it to Jacob or someone, but
Oh, okay.
I have it.
All right.
I have it again. I can
Okay.
send.
Yeah, send it to me so I can make sure it gets in there.
Okay.
All right. So this final tab will be the one you'll use the most. So this is your lookup tab to find appointments for a patient. I'm going to say this person called and they want to know when their appointment is. This is who it is. So I'm selecting, and here I can see all the appointments that patient has. if they say, well, I need to change the one on the 29th, I can click on the date and go right to that one and come in here and delete, cancel it, edit it, move it, whatever I need to do.
And can you see past appointments as well?
You can from the patient's dashboard, but you can't from here. This just shows you things that are still to come. From the patient's dashboard, you can see all appointments. But you can see that since I looked up here with this tool, if there were no appointments, I would still be attached. See here where it says you are attached to Monroe, Maryland. So no matter where I go to on the calendar now, so let's say I go to a date in December or November, and I'm going to click here. And if I click, it's going to pull in that patient because I'm attached to them, because I've looked up to book them. So it just saves you some time if you do the lookup here rather than on the line that you're going to be booking.
Okay.
All right. Another thing you can do here is you can check availability. So if someone calls and says, I need to be seen by Dr. Mahanti, and I want to be seen, and since Flagstaff's the only one set up.
Yeah.
Is Cottonwood?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to be seen in Cottonwood. And you know what type of appointment it's going to be. So let's say it's an established patient, and they want to be seen on a Tuesday or Thursday morning. So I'm going to click morning, and it sets my times. And I want to see the next 20 results. Now, this is probably going to be all on the same day because, there aren't any. So they must not be in Cottonwood on Tuesday. Or what day is he in Cottonwood?
Only
I
a
think
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay, Wednesday. So I'm going to search, and it's going to give you the next 20 times available in Cottonwood for Dr. Mahanti for an established patient dilated visit. You would tell them, okay, this is what I have available. They choose this one. So I'll say they're going to select November 6th. And that's where it's going to book the appointment. So now I'm on November 6th, and there I am to put the patient in. So this just allows you to look up for what's available when, if you don't want to have to remember. If you leave all days selected, it's still only going to show you those same ones because that's when he's formatted to be there. So since your schedule the way it is, you probably wouldn't need to select days because he is at so many places. You would probably want to just leave everything selected and search, and it's still just going to give you Wednesdays because that's all that's formatted. This final thing down here is a wait list. And I don't know if that's something you guys would use. I'll explain kind of what it does, and you tell me if you need to see it, because if you don't, I won't go through all the functionalities. But that would be if someone, they need to be seen, but they don't want to book right now. They want to just go on the wait list for you to call them when you have something available on a Wednesday afternoon. Or you book them 2 months from now, but they want to be seen sooner if you have a cancellation. Is that something that you would use, or are you pretty much able to book everybody as they need?
I think we would use it.
Okay.
Yes.
So right now I have one item in my wait list, and let me show you how you would, if you had somebody they don't want to book right now, they want to schedule up and go to the wait list, you use this little checkbox down here to move them to the wait list. If you suddenly, I'm going to go back to today, and let me go back to my default. All right, so I'm going to say I just noticed that I have this slot available. So someone has canceled. Is there anyone on the wait list that could come in here? And I'm not sure where I put that person on there. Your schedule is so complicated because there's so many facilities.
I don't think it actually checked the wait list.
It does. I was playing around with it earlier. But let me see where this item is in here. So I've got them scheduled to be in Flagstaff on a Tuesday or Thursday. So I'm going to check and see if I have anything available. View available slots. So you can move people from the wait list like that, but I'm not sure why I can't get this one. So Mahanti, Flagstaff, Tuesday or Thursday. So let's see here. And it may just not be doing it because of the screen share. That hampers some of these things from working right. Because I was playing with it beforehand, and it was pulling that patient up so that I could show you, because I wanted to be sure to show you how it works. But I want to show you a little video that we have up here above your calendar. You have this Show Me How. If you click on that, it gives you some videos, and everyone should watch Basic Scheduling Navigation. This is a PDF of the information, and I think Melissa already has that stuff printed to give you. The scheduling workflow, and then the using the wait list. These are short. You just click on it and it starts a video. This one's 2 minutes and 24 seconds. And it does a really nice job of showing you all the functionality of the wait list. For some reason, every time I'm on a screen share, I have problems getting it to work, but it does work. So, and I could come in here. You can check one to see if there's available slots. If you had 10 people on here, you could check them all at once, and then it would show you which ones had available based on what you had asked for, and then you can view, and it gives you the ones that you could choose from. So take a look at that video, and it'll show you really good workflow on that. Okay, so that's everything in these tabs.
Oh, can I interject?
Go ahead.
And this is
Yes.
Melissa. When you guys are all done today with this training, we need you to watch as many videos as you can before we kind of get going today in the schedule.
Okay, now you notice that I did a drag and drop earlier, and so I want to show you our rescheduling queue and how that can help your workflow. So let's say Dr. Mahanti called Wednesday afternoon and said, I'm not feeling well, so I will not be there in the morning. Reschedule everybody.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to get a hold of this patient and start moving it. And you see it opens up this reschedule queue. And then I'm going to say, and you want to put a note of that it was either the patient's rescheduled or you rescheduled so that you kind of keep track of what happened. And save that. And here the reschedule queue populates. I'm going to move this patient over. Whoops, I dropped her too quickly. And I'm not going to do notes just to save time. Okay, so now I've got everybody over there in the reschedule queue. You can use this little push pin thing. It looks like a pen and paper. And pull up everyone that's in your wait list. If you want to print this out so that you can take it to someone else and say, hey, could you call these 6 people or whatever, these icons up here will let you print them as either a spreadsheet or a PDF. If you just click on it, it creates the PDF, and there's your people that you need to reschedule. When I'm in here, let's say I reach Mr. Dean, and he has said when he wants to come in, so I'm going to link to him. And you can either link and go to that date and schedule him, but the easier thing is I can just get a hold of it, and let's say he decided to come in, whoops, let me change it to next week on Thursday, and I could just drag him out and drop him here and save. So this is a nice tool to, oh, go ahead.
Sorry, is there a way to add the patient phone numbers into that list?
Yes, it should be there. Let's see where.
Oh, I see it is. It's just blank. Got it. I see it.
Yeah, they're not entered for the. Oh, yes, right there. They would be there if we had them entered in the system. Those patients are entered without
Yeah, perfect.
One.
Thank you.
So as you reach each patient, you just drag them and drop them where they're coming in instead. So that's a nice. It's nice. If you have like a patient that calls in the morning and says, hey, I can't come right now, I've got a flat tire, I'll call you and let you know when I can come in. Well, then if they don't call, you're not going to forget that they didn't call, and they don't ever come in, because they're going to sit in that reschedule queue until somebody either deletes them or books them.
Good idea.
Okay? Questions on that? So that covers everything in this left side. Now to go here across the top, we've got, no matter where you are at on the calendar, if I click that today, it's going to go right back to today's calendar. If I have selected to see other resources and I've been looking for things and I want to go back to my default, this little wheel right here takes you right back to where your default is set for. These will take you back and forth a day, backwards, a day forwards. But this tool is nice if you've got a patient that is needs to come in 6 weeks. I'm going to go ahead and, well, I'll just show you that, and then I'll go wait to do that. So I'm going to say this patient needs to be seen 6 weeks from now. I'm going to pop to October 24th. You don't, because I've seen systems where you had to, okay, they're coming in 6 weeks, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they're like counting weeks. You can just use that tool and jump right to it. This is another calendar. I'm not sure why we need it, because we have the one over here, but there it is if you need it. I guess if you were on one of these other tabs and you wanted to see the calendar, you could do that without leaving the tab. So it's going to tell you how many appointments you have that day, and then you have the choice of a day view, a week view, or a month view. The month view just shows you a count. So if I go back to today, you can see here where I've got 3 appointments in the morning of the 12th, 1 in the morning of the 11th and the 18th and the 19th. So that's just a count of what you've got available. This prints a screenshot. So it's basically your schedule, but it's just not quite as pretty as the sheet, I don't think. Plus you can't design what all you want on it. It prints it like that. So I never really train anyone to use that one, because I think the other one's much more user friendly. But that's what that does. All right. So we're going to go ahead in here and set up a patient. I want everyone to practice, enter yourself. Enter a real patient would be useful, because you would be able to check eligibility. So I'm going to say we're putting in a new person, so we're going to register the patient. Here on the registration screen, you only get the fields that are mandatory in yellow. Anything white does not have to be filled in. So I'm just going to say this is scheduling test. I always have a hard time deciding what birth date to give them. Okay, then I'll make it a female. And you can see that here in the address, I'm going to see, let me put in P.O. Box 200. When you get to the city, if you know the zip code, you can put the zip code in and tab, and it fills in the city, the state, and the zip. It then pops up and tells me if there's a better address. So obviously there is no P.O. Box 200 in 85225 Chandler. There is in 85244. So I'm going to accept that change. So our software is connected directly to the United States Postal Service website. So anytime you enter an address, it's going to give you a better option. If you put in a zip code and there's a +4 that would make it more accurate, or if you put in avenue and it should be street, it's going to give you a suggestion. You don't have to take it. You can say accept the change or not. And then if that address doesn't exist, it's going to come up and tell you this address doesn't exist.
Can you do me a favor and just put in 86005 for me?
Sure. Let me take these out.
Because I've had problems with that in the past.
86005? Yeah, it's
Correct.
not seeing it in the library.
That's one of our...
Do we need to have it added?
Yes.
Do we need to add that one?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Okay. Let me make a note of that.
Might check 03 as well.
Yeah, any range, Darlene, between 8600.
Okay, that one comes up.
Okay.
But see how it's telling me address is not found? So there's
Yeah,
not
but
a
it's
P.O. Box
still got-
200, yeah.
Right.
Well, but
right.
yeah, it found that's Flagstaff, but there's not a
But
P.O.
it's
Box
a zip
200 in
code.
Flagstaff. So we need to add 86005.
Yes.
Alrighty, I'll get that added. Currently, the numbers are not mandatory. I don't know if Melissa may be setting that to a mandatory field later, but right now you can see they're white. But it's always a good idea to get a phone number if you're booking a patient, of course, because you may need to reschedule their appointment.
So, and that brings up a
Another question.
question
Okay.
that Lenora had this morning. We haven't gotten there yet, but you're about to. The reminder preference,
Mm-hmm.
what are they putting here?
Are you going to be using PCG reminders?
I guess
Are
that's
you
my
setting
question.
that up?
I'm not sure what the Mahantis signed up for.
Okay, let me look. I can look and see if they signed up for that really quickly here. Go to... Look at
And then the other question was, currently when a patient presents, they fill out a new patient form and it's handwritten. And then the ladies at the desk scan that information into our system, but it's my understanding that we will no longer be scanning it, so they'll be entering it. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me see if he signed up for it. PCG. Appointment reminders. No, he's not. They did not sign up for it to start immediately, but they may decide to use it later. So you don't have to worry about that right now. So that would just give you that's where you just choose if they want to be reminded by phone, by email, or text. But they haven't signed up for that, so you won't need to set that.
Could you
now I understand
forward-
that. Oh, go ahead.
Could you forward me that information again so I could push for it? Because our current reminder
Sure.
system, from what I just found out, doesn't work.
Oh, okay.
So right now there's, as I understand it, there's no reminder system set up with this program, right?
No, they didn't
Well,
opt to have that set up.
It's an upgrade.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? Is there a way to export this information if we had an alternate reminder system in place? In other words, does everyone use the PCG that has this?
Pretty much everyone does. I know one client I work with is using a different one, and so I'm not sure how they export it. If they just like export them the schedule, I don't know what they send them. But I do have one client that's using a different one. But every other client I've worked with has used the one that's interfaced, because what it does when it's interfaced is it sets the status of the patient's appointment from scheduled to confirmed or to reminded, so that you know that that patient was contacted and they confirmed their appointment, and it's all integrated into the calendar. Any other questions on that?
No, I think it will probably just come down to the cost of it, but if you could forward me that, I'll...
Yes, I'll have
for it.
Jessica. I'll have Jessica send it to you.
Thank you.
All right. Now, are you going to have them taking the insurance details on the phone when patients schedule if it's a new patient?
I'm not sure what they do now. Lenora, Tiffany?
Do you guys wait till they come in and get the card?
Yes.
Okay. So we won't need to cover that here. We'll cover it when we go to the patient's dashboard. So you wouldn't need to change anything here on the policyholder information. Just so you see what it does, if I choose that there is a policy, it opens up additional fields so that I can then select the insurance and enter their policy number, enter their copay amount, any of the information I have. But since you're going to do that after they actually come, you wouldn't need to do it on registration. So that's all the required fields. I'm going to go ahead and save and select this patient for an appointment. If that you have a referring provider, you'll be able to add that here. referral reason, the reason they're coming in, a note about the appointment. So, needs to bring insurance card. If you book recurring appointments ever, or like they're going to come in 3 times once a week or whatever, this little box allows you to set up patterns and to book several appointments at once.
Could you go over the case? I don't think you and I even talked about that.
No, we haven't. So a case would be something if you have workman's comp or motor vehicle accidents. Do you do that at all?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So if it's a workman's comp, you would probably want to add a case. So I'm going to say that this one is a workman's comp, and this is a right eye, date of injury, 2019. If they tell you that they have an authorization, then I'm going to say we have, and they give you a number, and they are authorized to come in for 3 visits. And then save. All right. So what that did, it adds the name of my case. You want to be really descriptive in case you end up having somebody that has 2 cases. That way they could say you're coming in for your right eye or left eye injury. It puts in the information here, but it also creates this green square that says this is for the primary number for the authorization. The visits authorized is 3. They haven't used any. They don't have any in the future because I haven't saved this one, so they still have 3 to book. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And whoops. And there's his appointment. Now, if I come over here,
where you entered that information again, just
where I was entering the cases.
oh, yeah.
Is that what you're talking about, Colin, or?
This, yeah. Okay, good. All right.
What shows up on this side is just basic information about the patient. If you are on the phone with the patient and they give you a new phone number, for instance, here I've got that. So I'm going to, if you click that little pencil, it opens another tab, goes to their dashboard where you can edit, change the phone number. Whoops. I want to actually change something, so you'll see. And then I'm going to save that change. I can go right back to the patient registration. You see it creates these little breadcrumbs of where you've been. Whoops, I'm sorry. And then when I clicked on the wrong one, once I get back here, you see it still has that old number, but this is a little refresh wheel. If I refresh that, then I've got the new phone number, 5775.
I noticed
so you can go
on the patient dashboard it did not list the case on there.
It does. I'll show you where it's at.
Okay.
All right. So now I'm going to come right here and we'll book another appointment for that guy so that you can see what the top looks like. So see, now we've used 1 and there's only 2 remaining. Once I've used them all, this will become a red square. And it will say visits authorized 3, used 3, none remaining, so that you would know, oh, you know, I can't book another appointment. We need to get authorization for another appointment.
But if you're not in this screen, how would you know, or you would know once you started entering? So let's say they've exceeded their number of cases or whatever. Then what does it show up like?
Well, okay. Well, let me book another appointment for him, and I'll book 2 more. Okay, so now I'll try to book another one for him. Oh, they're all in the future. Just a second. Let me move this one to another day. Okay, so let me move one to Friday.
And this kind of thing, you can just drag and drop, right?
Yes. And I'll move this one to Sunday, which would never happen. And I come here. I'll make sure he has 3 there. Scheduling. Yes, he does. So, come here. That's what it looks like.
Oh, okay.
Would that show up on the patient's dashboard as well if you just were looking up a patient?
Well, the cases are on the patient's dashboard. So let me go to that patient's dashboard and show you what that would look like. So here is his. So here's his case. There was a. Did you see that hyperlink that said cases right here?
Oh.
And then if I look at this one, you can see that he has remaining 3 to bill. He has 0 remaining of 3 to schedule.
Mm-hmm. So it's just a little more tedious that way, but it's there.
Right, it's here. Now you can run reports, and I don't know if most of you want me to go over like custom appointment queries. We can create queries that would show you the status of cases and how many authorizations they had left, when their authorization would be expired. So that's probably something I'll go over with Melissa in a training, so that, because I want to get to all the calendar things. I'm creating a copay and that today, but you can create queries that say, show me all the authorizations and what the status is of each one for the next month. And that way you could call them all ahead of time and say, you need to get more visits authorized. You're going to be running out on your next visit. But we do have reports where you can pull that information.
I'm sorry. If his authorization actually expired, would it also show up in red?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. If in the authorization area, you can put an expiration date. See right here.
Okay.
They would say this authorization is expired. And then if you try to do a claim on that authorization is expired, it won't let you save it. It will say the authorization is expired. So you would have to either remove it from that claim or get a new one and attach that one to the claim. So I'll send the document. I've got a nice help document on cases and authorizations that I'll send so that Melissa can pass that out to everybody. Okay. All right, so I'm going to come into this patient because I want to go over, that's one rescheduled. Let me go back to today. I want to go over your copay receipt. So we'll say this patient, I've got one in here that has a copay amount. Here, Marilyn Monroe. All right, because I entered her insurance information and I filled in the field of how much her copay is, you can see here that it tells you in yellow, enter copay $15. All of this area are hyperlinks. So from here, you can go in to edit the appointment, to print a super bill, to print her schedule. So from here, I can print just the appointments that she has for the next, let's say, till 10/30/2019. And run, and it's going to show me just this patient's appointments. So there's all her appointments. It would tell where, who, and what type. You can link to the patient.
That's the schedule then. That was just
right. That would be her schedule. Yeah.
Got
you
it.
can print. You can go to the patient's dashboard to look at something. You can edit the demographics. You can go in to add insurance information. Recalls we haven't talked about, but the recalls is if you have a patient that they come in and then they're supposed to come back in a year, you can add them to the recall list and then print your recall list once a month for everybody that's going to be called in the next month, and you would have a list of everybody you needed to contact to make sure they had an appointment. But I'm going to go ahead and enter copay because I want to get this part. And here in this, you're able to select check, cash, or credit card. So we're going to say this is a check. Oh wait, what was her copay?
15. It was 15.
Oh, okay. And it wouldn't matter. It would take anything, but just to make it accurate, $15. It automatically fills it in that this is a copay. So if she was paying you $26.50 on a past visit, you would just change that copay to 0 because it would be a payment, not a copayment. And then this is check number and save. And now I can print her a receipt. And there's her receipt. All of these fields that are light blue, you can type in them. And then print it. And it would print that on it. Once you've printed it, you can cancel. You don't need that any longer. And it changes. Now you can see you have a copay entered for $15.
Hey.
You'll notice over here it says escrow $15. What escrow means is a receipt has been created. The money's in the office, but it's not applied to a balance yet. So that's all that means. It's in a holding place to be applied to the next to the visit when it's billed. And then we're going to check her in. So now she would be in your little check-in list right here as person in the office. When the patient leaves, let's check them out. And you'll watch, those buttons will change as you use them because you no longer need some of them depending on the status of the appointment. She's checked out, but we want to make a new appointment. And see how it says kind of lightly copied?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll say that the doctor wanted to see her back in 7 weeks. So I'm going to advance 7 weeks. And now I'm in October. I'm attached to Marilyn Monroe. You see up here it says you are attached to Marilyn Monroe. So I'm going to come in here. Now I have this little paste. So if I click that, it's going to paste whichever one I select, and it fills in all the information for you. So if I had a case attached to it, if I had notes, if I had referrals, everything from that previous appointment will paste here. Let's say that this one, everything's the same, but it's not going to be a post-op. This is going to be something else. So I can just select that one change, and it would still save you from having to type in the notes, the cases, the authorizations, the referring doctor. And then you save it. And it gave me my little note validation, and there it is. Once you're through with it, if I click somewhere else, I'm still going to be pulling her in. You can get rid of it and go to someone else, or if you just click the little red X, it'll get you unattached. And then I'm ready to go back to today.
Can you show one more time, this is Melissa, how you made or how you looked for the appointment 7 weeks in advance? I think I had my head turned.
I would like that.
Okay. All right. So let me go in here, and I'm going to check him in. Now I'm going to check him out, make a new appointment. And we'll take this one. So we can advance. So 5 weeks, months, years.
Okay.
So I'm going to say 5 weeks, and it jumps to October 17th. And then I click.
Do you have to check them out before you can do that function?
If you did.
Well, no, when they're checked in, you still have the new appointment thing. So if they're checked in, oh, no, I've already copied that one. Let me go to a different one. It's the new appointment button.
Okay.
See, I could use it from here when they're just scheduled even. I could do new appointment and copy. If I change them to checked in, you still have new appointment. So that's the new appointment button that copies them, and then you can fast forward.
Okay.
Now, are you going to be using appointment work lists with them also? You want me to go over that real quick?
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. And let me make sure you've got one. Let me add one real quick. What do you want to call it? I'll just name it appointment. You guys can change it later. Okay. So we have built into our calendar the ability to send something to a work list. So let's say that this patient was a no-show. And for some reason, you need to contact no-shows, or you need to do charges for them. There's some reason you need to send this no-show to your work list, or it's someone that you found out their insurance isn't eligible, and so you need to contact them before they come in. So on your appointment screen, you've got this to work list. I can set that and say, I'll just say need insurance. It's going to my appointment work list, and you guys can rename that. And I'm going to say this is in progress. I'm going to assign it to me so I can show you what this does on your dashboard. If I can find me, let's see. Okay. Oh, set a due date. I'm going to say it was due today so that I can show you what this work list will do for you. All right. So let me go to my home dashboard, and you see here below on this left side panel, I have this items due now, because I had set that's due today. So in this case, you would probably want to set your due date for the day before they were coming in if you needed some type of information or some type of confirmation. If I select this, it's going to take me right to that item, and then I can see that's due today. And if I want to see the note, I needed to call the patient. I can go into that item and see that we needed his insurance. So it's a way to remind yourself. I can say called and info received. And I'm making a mess of my typing, but that's okay. Now I've got both of those. Now I want to get him off my work list. I'm going to modify it, and we're going to say that this one now is in the status of complete. And now that one's off the work list.
Yeah, I don't remember going through this, but do you have
we haven't had a chance to
examples?
go through them yet.
Yeah, well, do you have any examples of how other clinics might be using this function, and you don't have to discuss it now?
Yeah, they use them for no-shows. They use them for, we're going to set up where eligibility is run like a few days prior to the appointment. So on your dashboard, you would see who is eligible, who isn't eligible. Some clinics use them for that to move the people that aren't eligible to a work list for somebody to contact them and get new insurance information. So it's also a way for if you're working on things internally, you can assign them back and forth to each other and set due dates. So there's multiple types of work lists. You can set up work lists that have to do with the patient and send patients to a work list because you want to be contacting them for a new address but work lists are just a way of communicating internally. You may or may not decide to use them, but they have some really great functionality. So just wanted to show you that quickly so you can be thinking about, do you want to use an appointment work list? And if you do, you can create different types of appointment work lists. If you want to send all your no-shows to a work list so that someone could contact them and to reschedule, or if you bill for no-show fees, somebody could create the charges for them. So there's just a whole myriad of uses for that.
Darlene, just as an example, would it be possible for if a patient is scheduled for a LASIK consultation, doesn't show, is there a way for the front desk to send a work list to me to call the patient?
Yes, yes. So even, like, it doesn't even have to be, like, you've got the work list. So I could say to work list, LASIK. I'm going to send it to this appointment work list. It's a normal or high. You just set your priority. It's in progress. Or no, I would say it's assigned. So if you're going to send it to you, assigned. And this is only going to give you your users. It's giving me a whole ton of users because it's all of support. But you would assign it to you, and they could set the due date as, today, so that you would get it right away. And then they could put a note here about it. Please contact patient. If you don't really need a note, you just need to know that this patient needs a LASIK consult, they wouldn't even have to add the note. And then that's going to send it to you, and then you're going to get that reminder on your dashboard.
Okay, that's great. So we can do that, you guys, with patients who call and cancel cataract surgery. You can send it to call in, or, just LASIK consults especially. I mean, surgeries we usually get, but that'd be good. Thank you.
Yeah, and you guys can decide, like, if you want to, you could create a patient type of work list, and then you would go straight from the patient's dashboard. Okay. Now, I want to go over just a couple of things, and I know we're going long, but I don't, so I'm going to go to the patient dashboard. Because there are a few things here that you may or may not need, and you tell me if you don't need them, and we'll just skip right over it. But, of course, edit's going to take you in so you can make changes. Forms, we have a system-generated face sheet that you can run. If a patient hasn't been in for a while, it's going to pull all the information from their data entry, and then you can hand that to them and say, please verify this information, and if it's not correct, correct it and turn it back in. You could also run a blank one, and then it would just be a totally blank face sheet that they could completely fill in. If you're on a patient that has, let me go to Marilyn Monroe because she had insurance. So if you're on a patient that has insurance, it's going to fill in all of the insurance information and everything that's entered in their demographics. Okay? So
I have
back
one more
to the patient.
question for you, Darlene, just
Sure.
really quick. Is there a way to identify, because when we have VSP doctors start up, I want to be able to look and run a report for each day that will identify that patient as a VSP patient, because they don't do the billing on their side. I do it separately.
Oh,
yeah, we haven't gotten the eligibility yet.
Yeah, well, eligibility, and then we can even create, and you'll want to make sure that the person that needs this has the report permission for that, but you can create custom patient queries, and where you add the columns that you want. So one of the columns you could add would be insurance, and then you could select it to be let's see, insurance ID. So and then in your filters you could select that insurance name is VSP. Oh, I'm scrolling the wrong spot, but you can see here where it adds that. If you didn't necessarily need their addresses, you could take those columns off, but then you would say equals VSP and run, and you would get everybody that's in the database that has VSP. If you want to add, there's columns for next appointment, so there's the patient query would easily give you that information.
We also need to enter in certain information, but we'll talk about that later.
Okay. Go ahead.
How about walk-in patients? Because we do have a number of patients that are emergency or follow-ups from the hospital. How do we put them in the system? So to register them or put them on the calendar, or what? Yes.
Both.
It would be just like you would if they had called in advance. You would go, just click on the place they're coming in, or maybe you would use your overbook column and just add their name, address, information, and mark them as checked in. It's important, especially once the calendar information is interfaced with the medical record software. It's really important to have every patient on the calendar and checked in or out, because there's a report that the people that do billing will print that will show them any patient that was on the calendar that has not had a claim billed, so that you can prevent missing billing for anybody.
I think Lenora was asking, I think what she's talking about is just how do you add a patient on the fly. Is that what you're asking, Lenora?
Yes.
So you would just go to the word patient or?
Walk in.
Well, if you added them to the calendar on the fly, they've never been in, they just walked in, you would just click on the spot and then register and click register patient, and it opens up a dashboard.
Okay, so same as usual. Okay.
Yes, you
Same
just schedule them. If you're needing to, like they're coming in alongside one of these people, like it's the same time, you can click there on the slot and I'm attached to a patient, and then register them here. So if you needed to put it right next to somebody else, you can do that as well. From the patient dashboard, you can register by just clicking on patient and then register. So here's the register patient button. We do have a validation in here too. If you tried to register Marilyn Monroe again, it's going to pop up and tell you have a patient by this name, and you can just select that patient to make edits or close it and close your screen because you've already got them in there. But it will verify if you've got the same patient name.
You know, you'll have to excuse me if you've already covered this, but it looks like, for example, I'm going to be making appointments for cataract surgeries where I make the cataract surgery appointment Monday and a 1-week follow-up. What's probably the most efficient way to create all 3 of those appointments?
I would do the surgery, but then while you're attached to them, go ahead and book the first follow-up, and if it's going to be every week for 3 weeks, you could make that one recurring, because your surgery would be so different in the information you're entering than the follow-up post-ops would be. But I would, for your follow-ups, it's usually going to be every week for 3 weeks or something like that. You could do them as recurring and schedule them all at once.
Okay.
But either way that you do it, even if you did it individually, you'd be attached. As long as you're attached to that patient, they're just going to pop up every time you click on a spot. So
okay, great. All right.
Yeah. As long as, when you search for that patient on the calendar, you attach to them once they're found.
Yeah. Okay, so that makes it super easy. Okay.
Yeah. Another thing that's not added on registration, but if you needed it, it would be emergency contacts, and that's this little link. Then that would make your emergency contacts show up here on the right-hand side of your dashboard. Submission names, and I know you've got one patient in here that somebody entered as a practice, so let me pull up all your patients so I can show you what I'm talking about. And I want to include non-patients. Let's see, who was it that you did? Oh, it was test 2, test 3.
Test 2.
Yes. So this one has a submission name in here, so I want to show you what it looks like. So we've got Testy space, or Test space 2 Testy is the name, but Maritime Insurance has them as Test 2 without a space. So this submission name has been entered, and you can see that down here in the insurance information where it says Testy 2, Testy with a asterisk. So that's what the submission name does. Or if you've got a person that they like to go by Bill, but their name's William, you can have patient name Bill, but you can put submission name William so that the insurance gets what they want, but when the patient calls in and says, hi, this is Bill, you'll find them under Bill.
Great.
And then this is like I was telling you where you can create a patient type work list if you wanted to send patients to a work list for any reason. Like you found out their insurance is not good and you want to contact them. Change log is just like on the scheduling where I showed you the change log and you could see everything that was done and who did it. You can also see that here. So you can see where Susie did some additions, and then here's where I've been messing around in that same patient and booking appointments and stuff. So everything that happens on that patient is in the change log. The guarantor field it shows up that you have two guarantors entered, what was probably self, and it was because you've got the self as the preferred name, and then you've got the policyholder name. So in your guarantor list, you've got two. I can go back to either patient dashboard, patient number, or patient name to be right back on there. This guarantor name is going to become important for you once you're sending statements. If a patient calls and wants to ask a question about their statement, if you click on the guarantor's name, it goes to the guarantor's dashboard, and you'll be able to see all patients linked to a guarantor. So if you had a balance for the husband, the wife, and the child, you would see all three of them from any one dashboard in this patient's linked to guarantor area. And then here in the statement history area, you'll be able to view the actual statement that they're holding in their hand so that you can answer questions. The next
Say the
area
last
is
part
your
again. I'm sorry. Could you say that last part again about the statement?
Down here in the statement history area,
Oh, okay.
when statements are sent, there'll be a hyperlink on the far right that is the word view. And if you click on it, it opens up a PDF of the statement that the patient received.
Thank you.
I have a quick question on when you're registering patients. Is there an easy, quick way to, if you have a family of 4 coming in, that you can just change the name but not have to re-enter the address and phone number 4 times?
Yes. Let me go to one of your patients. That doesn't
Are the
have
sister wives
all
coming
that
in,
here.
Allie, or what?
Oh, we get those. Don't laugh. We just had a few.
All right. All right.
Be
So
careful,
let me go
you're being
in
recorded.
here and register a patient. So
Well, they do live here now, so it's possible.
That's right.
So if you say patient is guarantor no, and the relationship to the guarantor is child, and then I put in the last name as Monroe, Maryland.
Unlikely
It pops this up and
270.
says, oh, this person's in here. Yeah. And so I'm going to select that is the guarantor, and it pulls them all in. So you don't have to enter all that information again. It does the same thing at the top. If I enter that patient again, this is where you get the pop-up. And I can't remember what her date was. Oh.
You got last name, first name.
And see there, you've got this patient. So that way it keeps you from entering the same person twice. It also allows you to copy the address from the patient.
Great. Thank you.
So, okay.
I have a
So it
quick
does
question.
save you all that. Okay.
Is there a way that when the patient comes in, they have like a primary care physician, or is that on here?
Referring?
Anywhere?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
When you're entering, here from this screen, you can enter their primary care physician here, the referring physician here, and there will be libraries. I don't know if any are entered yet, but you could add the provider if you have their NPI. Now, if you guys have an existing referring provider list,
Yeah, I had sent that over to
Jacob's probably
Jacob.
doing that. Yeah, Jacob will be uploading that, so you'll have all your referring providers in there to select from.
Great.
But yes, all those fields are available. And you can actually do it from the registration screen.
What about the address and phone numbers for the providers? Will that be all in there also?
If it's on the spreadsheet, it will be. If it's part of that spreadsheet, then that'll all be uploaded as well.
Okay.
Now, since you're going to be entering insurance information after the patient gets there, I want to show you where that is, and then I'm going to go to close them up, because I don't want to go much longer, because I know everybody's probably getting tired of hearing me talk. But when the patient actually comes in, you can go to the patient dashboard, and then insurance management is where you're going to enter their insurance information. So in every case, you're going to be adding a new insurance profile. So let's say they've given you their card and they have Care First Health Plan, and you'll put in their policy number, if you've got their copay information. Now, you will be able to check their eligibility and as you're saving. So if you guys want to enter an actual patient with actual insurance and use this so that you can see how it works, I would love that, because you'll see it checks the eligibility, gives you the results if they're eligible or not on that plan. Then if they have secondary, you would also add new here and add the secondary insurance information. Let's say that the secondary is Medicare, which is unusual, but you know it does happen. On Medicare as secondaries, this becomes mandatory, and so you have to put in the reason they're secondary. It's usually either 12 or 43, and then save. If you weren't sure about the reason, you can just choose anything, and when you check eligibility, the Medicare eligibility results tells you why they are secondary. So if you're not sure, you can do that.
Would anybody volunteer to enter themselves so we can see the check eligibility function?
You can enter me. I don't care.
Awesome.
Okay, so I guess you're going to register me, Darlene.
Okay. All right. So last name.
Buckalew, B-U-C-K-A-L-E-W.
B-U-C-K-L-E-W?
A-L-E-W.
Oh, A-E-W. Okay. Is that right?
No, B-U-C-K.
Oh.
B-U-C-K-A-L-E-W.
Buckalew.
E-W.
There you go.
Okay.
First name Elizabeth.
Birthday?
7/27/66.
Sometimes it'll take it without the
I was hoping.
7/27.
I have
But you don't have to put your slashes. You can just put numbers.
Nice. Woohoo.
And
Okay,
you are
I'm
a
sure
female.
I'm sure you had mentioned this before, but where is the space for the preferred name? Like,
Oh, that's on the dashboard.
Ellie.
Well, you would do as you're entering them, you would do your preferred name, and then once it's saved, you can put in your submission name. But I'll show you. You have to save the patient first. Okay, address.
809 West, just put a W.
Okay.
Reardon Road, R-I-O-R-D-A-N.
E-A-N. Okay. And your zip code?
It's actually, I'm sorry, D-A-N,
Oh.
not the extra E.
Okay.
And it's a road.
What is it?
86001.
It's going to show me. So see, it gave me, okay,
Corrected
you did this, but road is corrected and the zip 4 and the +4. So I'll accept the change.
Perfect.
All right. And then are you the guarantor?
Yeah,
Yes,
Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Okay. Okay, patient's insurance. And I'm not sure if it's entered as Blue Cross or BC.
Blue Cross of
there it is.
Arizona. That's us.
Okay, and your policy number.
X, B as in boy, P as in Paul, 8500 18558.
Okay.
I better be eligible. Someone's in trouble.
There's your eligibility verification.
Oh, that's
Now,
neat.
As you scroll down through here, it'll show you like deductible amounts, how much is remaining. It shows you copays. You can see different types of care. You can filter that out if you only want to see a certain thing. So like yours would be vision. So now I'm just going to get the vision stuff.
Okay.
How
And
about
then-
specialist?
What's that?
Specialist, not vision.
Specialist. This one doesn't offer that breakdown.
It's usually just.
But it has a
Some of them
physician
do.
office.
Yeah.
visit.
Oh, here's type. Maybe it's here. Type.
Well, it's probably just a physician
No.
visit.
Yeah. Oh, that's well visits.
There is a difference.
Professional. Here it is. Professional. There it is.
Huh, that's a weird way to say it. Okay.
So it breaks it down. Yeah, it is. That's a weird. And coinsurance has everything you need to know as far as what the payment's going to have to be.
If we go to type, what types are available under that professional?
Oh, under professional? So deductible should not be treated. It's not. This particular payer isn't offering that information. Now Medicare gives like crazy amounts of information. It's really cool. But one thing I wanted to show you is, you see how this is red? That's because we don't have it entered. So you can double click it and then copy, and then when I close this, I can go ahead and add the group number. Okay, so you're able to, before you even save the patient, you can check their eligibility. That way, you know you've got good insurance information. Once you're through with that,
desktop shortcuts work as well?
As far as what? Like Control
Copy
C,
and
Control
pasting.
V. Yes. Oh yeah, I use Control C and Control V
Okay.
all the time. Yeah, it does. Okay, so I'll save this. And then if there's a submission name, like if we had put in, you know, Beth or Liz or something, then you could click here and add the submission name. And it's going to say select the insurance, and this is for Blue Cross, and for Blue Cross I want it to go in. I'll do it backwards since we, and I can't remember how I spelled that. Oh, there it is at the top. Buckaloo. There. Effective today. Save. So now if I go back to the page.
Someone had asked about a preferred name on the patient dashboard. Is there a place for that?
Well, that's like if they have a preferred name, you could enter it as their name. So you would have entered like Beth Buckaloo, but then I would have done my submission name as Elizabeth. This is done backwards. But submission name is the legal name.
So you
Right.
could call it claim name. It's just, you know, because you're submitting
Right.
a claim.
It's for claims, right. But if there's a name they prefer to use that you want to enter as their name, you can. Now, if I search for the patient, I'll see them. It'll give me both. So if I come in here and search for the last name, see, I get both. So no matter what they call in and say, you're going to be able to find them.
I'm going to start calling Ellie Beth now, by the way.
That's what I grew up with. So anyone who calls me Beth, I just assume is from Laramie. So that's fine.
So if you put in their nickname or their casual name or whatever, will that affect their eligibility lookup?
Probably
not.
Well, not always. It probably would still find it, but it would have a red thing and show you their real name.
Okay.
We could try it. Like I've got Beth here. Let's see if it looks it up. Yep, I found it. But it has the subscriber's name as Elizabeth. So it still will find their eligibility.
Is there a way that you can mistakenly make two accounts?
It's going to give you a warning. So just like when I tried to enter, if you try to enter any of these again, so if I try to register a patient test again, this pops up, and it says, a person with the first and last name you've entered already exists. Choose one of the records below or hit escape to close. So if I want to choose this one, then it's going to take me to that patient's dashboard so that I could, I'm right back on the regular dashboard to make edits. Or if I say, oh, they're already in here, you can just X and close it. So it will prevent you from entering the same patient as long as the name is entered right. So if I had misspelled the name, and it would have let me go right ahead. But as long as the name matches, it's going to give you that heads up.
Is somebody washing dishes?
I was just going to ask.
If you're washing dishes, please stop washing dishes. Thank you.
Okay, so the last thing I want to go over here on the patient dashboard is the insurance management area, because that's an important thing that you guys need to be aware of. So in the insurance management, if they come in and they've got brand new insurance, they no longer have Blue Cross, you would come here and add a new insurance profile. It's automatically going to set that to default, and the other one would just be, active, so that if there were still encounters on it to be processed. If they come in and say, I have new secondary to add to my primary insurance, you would want to enter this profile to make that change. So you would click on the word default and then go over here to secondary and add a new there. So it's important to know that we have policies and we have profiles. So if it's part of the same profile, they're just adding an insurance to Blue Cross, you'll use this link. If it's a whole new insurance as primary, you'll use the add new at the top.
So that was from could you go over that from the patient dashboard again? We
Sure.
have a lot of secondaries.
So from the patient dashboard, I want to go to their insurance management. There's a hyperlink on your calendar to go to insurance management as well. If you're in an appointment, one of those hyperlinks is insurance management. So I go in here, and I'm going to add a secondary. So I'm going to click on the word default to enter this profile, and then add new. And it opens up so that you can add another insurance. And then save.
Does that make sense?
You want to be careful. You want to be careful with this add new policy, not part of a profile. This is where you would put something like a Medicare information if the patient was using Blue Medicare Advantage. You could go ahead and add their insurance information here for Medicare just so you would have it handy, but they wouldn't actually be using it. But then maybe 6 months from now they come in and say, oh, now I'm using Medicare. So then you could add your new insurance profile and choose from existing, and it would give you the plan of Medicare that was in your not part of profile, so you could choose that one. So it's a common mistake that people will come here and click this instead of this to add a new one, and then it's just down here not active.
Colin, you were saying?
Oh, it just, you just add supplemental insurance the same way?
The add new insurance.
Yes, it's the add new. Like I'll give Elizabeth another policy as secondary.
I'm Medicare. I'm very old.
So see, now there's a secondary. Once you've added a secondary, it opens up to give you a tertiary. So our database does that in a lot of places. It gives you additional fields based on your selection. They're not there unless you need them. So then if I save this, now I've got it here. So you always want to save that little green save button right here. If I added that policy and saved the policy but didn't save it here, it would have popped it down here into policies that are not part of a profile. So you want to hit the green save as well to finish it out. Although if that happens, you're able to move it up. You would just come to your default, and then you would say from existing and select it from the existing, because it would pop those up if they weren't being used. Now, I want to finish up because I know you're probably all getting exhausted from hearing me talk. So at the end of the day, I'm going to go here to this batch because we did take a copay, and this is what it looks like at the end of the day. You're going to have all your receipts listed. It's going to give you the totals if they're cash, check, credit cards. If you click on the report button, it's going to generate a nice report with all your receipts and what category they fall in. And then you're finished with the day, so you're going to close it. And then you can see I'm not attached any longer, and there it is closed.
Does it show who? Oh, okay. So the user, it does show.
Yes, it'll show the, right, and it's showing me. And it was closed at 10:45 a.m. So that's pretty much all the things you'll be doing. Hopefully I didn't totally muddy your minds with so much information at once. But I'm going to send, Melissa has some help documents. I'm going to send a couple others on cases and authorizations and on work lists so that you guys can start playing around and You're not going to break anything. Enter people, enter insurances, check eligibility, move appointments around, book recurring appointments, try the wait list, try the reschedule queue, but watch those videos, and then you can go back and look at them again. Another thing you'll notice is when you're in our system, you get a lot of little help information, little question marks. See these little green question marks? If you hover over those, it tells you exactly what that's going to do. Or patient insurance, and I don't know if we have any in there. Here's one, responsible party. So anywhere you see a question mark, it's going to give you information about that field and what happens with the choice you make.
Darlene, could you
So
show
pay
them
attention to
briefly?
those.
Okay. Could you show them where all the videos are, please?
Yes. So you have two places you can look, either the question mark at the top or here in the Help Center. Now this Help Center, it even will do a hand-holding, show you how to do things if you want to. You've got this Show Me How. So if I go to Patient and then Register a New Patient. Okay, type NP and hit Enter. And then Enter. Whoops, I guess it would help if I had my mouse there. And now it takes you right to that screen. So, and then it hover over question mark, so it's going to give you information, and next. And as you're doing it, click Save when you're finished. So those will take you, handhold you right through doing things. Even in the calendar, we've got added, let's see, here's one for, do we have one for booking appointments? No, that's for building it. In the videos, these are great scheduling videos. You have them here as well. But the patient videos, there's patient registration, navigating the patient dashboard that kind of covers all the hyperlinks and things that I showed you. There's one on insurance management, how to use it, one on how to scan an insurance card, patient queries. That's what I showed you, that report where you can pull like the list of people that have certain insurances. So you have videos on a lot of topics. When you're on a screen, the little Show Me How at the top will just show you the videos that have to do with that screen. So here I am on patient registration, so it's giving me those. When I was on the calendar, the Show Me How that will populate is going to be the videos about the calendar. So here's the Show Me How. And these are about scheduling.
And no more, they're usually about 3 minutes or less, correct?
Yeah, there's a few that maybe are 5 or 6 minutes, but most of them are, 3 minutes, 2.5, 3, 4 minutes. So you could watch all the scheduling videos. I think I added it up one time, and then there was like less than 15 minutes for all of them.
I have a question. It might sound dumb, but does this
No dumb
eliminate,
question.
authorizations for insurance, like surgeries, and because it checks the
well, it
eligibility?
checks their eligibility, but it doesn't authorize the service. So you would still, you could run eligibility to make sure the person having surgery does have that insurance and it is active, but you would still need to contact the insurance to let them know they're having surgery and get it authorized.
Got it. And when do we go live?
What was the date? October 24th, I believe.
We have
24th.
Had to move it to.
And who's going in and putting in all the appointments?
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. What was that?
The appointments, are you guys talking to Jacob about converting your appointments, or are you going to be entering them?
That's a possibility, but I think we had originally talked about using the appointment schedule as a training period.
Now,
like entering it.
Right, your patients will all be added through a conversion.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
And
so
we'll
you won't be
manually-
having, right. So they'll all just be in there. So you won't have to enter every patient that you have in your database, only new patients. So all the registration I went through, you'll only be doing that for your new patients.
Okay.
So adding them to the calendar would be easy because you'll just look them up and pop them in. So.
Okay. I have one quick question. Can you show me real quickly on the scheduler how we would be able to see if a patient had canceled? for instance, on a surgery schedule, if all of a sudden we look at the surgery schedule and there's a hole in it and we go, oh my God, well, who canceled? How do we see, is there a way to see patients that were on the schedule and are not now?
Yes. That is, let me find the right tab. Right here.
Okay.
If I check that in the settings, if I check to see canceled things, so let me cancel one. Schedule it so I have a cancellation button. Oh, it's at the end, but that's okay. So if that's not checked, it's empty, but if I check it, then it becomes a shadow.
Terrific.
And shows
Thank
me.
you.
Another thing that's cool, I'll show you guys this real quick and then let you go. But if I'm here on a patient's dashboard, and this is what I was telling you, this little plus here in their appointment area, that will show you past appointments. This patient doesn't have any. But if I want to go to, say, this appointment, it's going to make that appointment flash. So you can imagine if this day was filled with people, rather than having to look through and try to find that name, it flashes at you when you come from the patient's dashboard. And it'll also show you like the statuses. So if they had canceled, they had no-showed, it's going to show you all their statuses of their appointments here. You can create, in the custom appointment query report, it's kind of like the custom patient, but you could create reports to show you like everybody that was no-shows if you wanted to, like, when was their last no-show? I mean, you can create all kinds of reports, custom.
Okay.
So if you guys think of any reports that you might need, let Melissa know, and then I can help her get them created. And
Okay.
one thing that some people will do is they'll create a report. If you have an insurance that requires authorizations, you could create a report to show you every appointment in the next month that has that insurance. And that way you could verify that you do have authorization for each of them.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Any other last questions before we go?
When we go to add a new doctor, is that something that Melissa knows how to do, or is that something that she would contact you for?
Add a new doctor.
To add a resource, to add a new resource.
Melissa knows how to do it.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, Melissa and Andrea, or Melissa, I think you've been doing all of it, haven't you? All of the calendar builds? Yeah. So she knows how to do all of it. She'll be your calendar expert.
That's a very loose expert, loose term. But I'll try to help you.
All right.
Melissa,
so,
you just need to show me how to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
So, with the videos and the help documents, you guys may not need to have another meeting. If you decide that you want to, here in a couple, 2 or 3 weeks after everybody's played around with it plenty and you've got your questions ready, I'll be happy to get together with you and just go over questions, whatever you guys decide. But have fun with the videos and the documents and just play around with it. You're not going to break it. So.
Okay. Thank you.
And please, like, create copays, receipts, so that you can make sure that when you do go live, anything that you're going to need to do, you have the right permissions and you know how to do it.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Darlene.
Thank you.
You all have a good day.
Thanks. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Oh my gosh.